Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Directors agenda meeting for July 25th. This is the meeting that we use to set our agenda for our upcoming meeting on August 1st. We're rolling right into August so quickly. The first item on our agenda, however, before we get into the actual items, is a presentation. We have one of our summer enrichment program groups here, the Passion Everlasting CDC. It's a summer academic enrichment program, and we're going to have a presentation.
Yes, Mayor, we're very excited. This is just one example of the many programs that you all funded this summer. And at this point, I'd like to ask Walter Harris to come forward.
To the Mayor and Board of Directors, thank you for giving Hearts of Passion Everlasting this time on the agenda. I am Walter Harris, the Executive Director for Hope CDC. It is a recipient of Summer Academic Enrichment Program. We've been asked to provide a final report of our program and services we provided during the 8 weeks. Oftentimes, you only see where it is pencils and paper written final report, but it does not capture the essence of how the organization impact and contribute to the youth and the community. I would like to take a few moments to give you a glimpse of Hope CDC. What happens when our students learn social skills and those skills are being taught through the art of music?
Wake up and smile, 'cause it's been a while. It's been like a holiday. You can stop, you can hold me. This child away, strong in the face. Lord, you are the refuge that I can't wait to get to. So I won't let a day go, won't let a day go by without thanking you for the joy that you bring my life. And ooh, there's something about the way the sun shines on my face. It's a love song true, I can never get enough of you. This feeling can't be wrong. I'm about to get my worship on. Take me away. It's a beautiful day.
Let's not forget. Thank you. Thank you. Let us not forget the importance of the program and the academics, which was covered daily. Math, science, reading, English. Our kids came to school every day excited about what we had. Not only did we teach singing, not only did we teach dancing, not only did we teach them art, what we did was a lot to impact the youth, to take them off the street so that they could have a safe environment as well as one that would impact them for the rest of their lives. One of the situations that happened was a sad note during our program where we lost one of our angels, Destiny Davis. Our kids rallied together. They said, "Pastor, we want to get together and do something." So the kids got together, painted a garden, and made her a memorial garden at our program. Not only did we teach them that, we taught them how to live, how to run, how to be healthy, how to do different things. So we had a track and field program. It was important to keep this going on and to impact them in every area of their lives. An old Chinese proverb states, "Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime." One of my favorite courses that we taught was the horticultural class. As you can see, the fruit of their labor. They raised plants. They also had fruit. They had vegetables, because we wanted to impact our young people's lives so that they can live on and not have to worry about where I'm going to get food the next day. You can grow your own food. But not only did we teach them how to grow their own food, we had also taught them how to prepare their own meals. Our culinary school our culinary class, we taught them after raising and having your own food. You can prepare it and not just have to sit around waiting on mom. We did everything we could to teach our kids how to live with each other, how to love one another, and how to coexist with police, firemen, as well as the state troopers. So we had each organization come in and talk with our kids to build a relationship that police are not bad, firemen are not bad, state troopers are not bad, and we all can get along. So thank you for this time. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Hope. Hope. Thank you. Hope. Thank you. Oh, hope. Thank you. We thank you. Oh, hope. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thanks to Hearts of Passion Everlasting CDC for that presentation. We're glad to see all of the good work done this summer. We have another presentation as well, and this has to do with the Little Rock Kitchen Cabinet. Oh, excuse me, Director Hendricks. 1 minute, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to let the audience know that that group is in Ward 1 at a church at 26 in Commerce. And we are so proud of them. I've never seen nothing like this before, Mr. Moore. It is great.
Thank you, Director Hendricks. Okay,
Okay.
the kitchen cabinet.
Yes. Can everyone hear me and see me okay? You're going to have to deal with not seeing me very well. Sorry. Just a little vertically challenged. But first, I want to thank you all for letting us come today to talk about the Little Rock Kitchen Cabinet and some of the projects that we've been working on since we formed. My name is Stephanie Bassett. I am a registered dietitian for Arkansas Blue Cross and Blue Shield and for the Greenleaf Grill right on Gaines Street. I'm a member of the Little Rock Kitchen Cabinet, which is a group of about 90 restaurant owners, operators, managers, and chefs who kind of wanted to work together to kind of empower our community to make healthier choices with eating at home and eating out as well. So I'm here to talk about a couple of different things, but first I want to talk about what the kitchen cabinet is, and then kind of go into the real reason today to celebrate some of the kids that we got to work with this year. So for background a little bit, the kitchen cabinet was formed by the National Restaurant Association and the Arkansas Hospitality Association just to create a meaningful partnership, to organize projects, to work together, to kind of help empower our community a little bit. The goal of the cabinet is to form these partnerships so it makes it easier for restaurant individuals to work together in really impactful ways to help improve the community in some way. As you guys know, the restaurant industry is very generous, very helping in terms of time and effort and energy, but directors Peck and Webb know how busy it is to work in a restaurant, right? It's crazy. So the kitchen cabinet kind of allows us to, it just makes it easier to work together in things that the restaurants are, just passionate about. So just make it a little bit easier for everybody. If you want to go to the next slide, that'd be great. The first project I want to talk about is with the food drive that we did. So as you guys know, many students are food insecure in the Little Rock School District. And one of the projects that we did in coordination with the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance was to raise food for these kids who, their most healthy meals usually at school. And that leaves a real need for when they're on Christmas break or summer break. So for this past winter, 30 of the members of the kitchen cabinet, along with the Hunger Relief Alliance, collected over 1.5 tons of food for those students to bring home with them for the holidays so that they wouldn't be as insecure. So that was just wonderful that we got to do that. You want to go to the next slide? As you guys know, the State Veteran Cemetery places flags on all of the graves for the fallen soldiers for Veterans Day and Memorial Day. It takes a lot of volunteers to put all those flags up. So the kitchen cabinet this year for both Veterans Day and Memorial Day donated breakfast for all those volunteers who were kind of honoring our fallen soldiers. And the last slide. So this is kind of the main reason of why we're here today, was the Cooking Matters partnership that we had. We worked with the Our Kids or the OK program, which is a police-based mentorship program for young men in the Little Rock School District. As you guys know, it's a mentoring program run by the police. Sergeant Davis, who's here, you want to speak a few words about how the program works? You want to come up real quick?
How y'all doing? Y'all didn't mean it. How y'all doing?
Good.
Yeah, I want to first thank the City Board of Directors for allowing us to be entertained by you all right now. And this is a special time because I really got excited about this Cooking Matters kitchen cabinet event, and I think our boys enjoyed it as well. A special shout out to Kathy Webb. This was initiated by a conversation that I had with the Superintendent, Michael Poore. He engaged me, and then he engaged her, and then she communicated with me. And here we have a connection and a partnership with the Our Kids program. So I want to especially thank Kathy, and also I want to thank Cappy Peck for being a part of this partnership as well. A lot of people don't know that the OK program has pillars of partnerships. And one of those is the church, the business community, the schools, the police, and the kids. And when the police and the kids get together, everything is okay. And that's the partnership that we have with these pieces. I also want to recognize briefly my Officer Turner, who works with me in the program. Officer Turner, stand up for a second, brother. Yeah, he works with me in the program, makes this thing work. I also want to recognize the parents of the OK program. Parents, would y'all please stand? That supports what we do and allow us to engage their kids from time to time. Also, my chain of command, I think Captain Washington, I think she's here, Captain. And Lieutenant Witten, who's my direct cane of men, are always encouraging me and supporting what I do with this program. I also want to thank community programs. I think I saw Dana here for their support too. I want to say that this partnership got me to thinking about some things, and I understood real quickly that healthy minds engage healthy conversations. And so healthy food is the same thing to me. And these guys were not coming back talking about negative stuff. They were coming back talking about the food that they cooked and how good it was. And one of the things that hit home to me, I was preparing some guacamole dip. Me and my son, who's in the program, been in the program since the 4th grade. We were doing guacamole dip, and I was digging the hull out. He said, "Step back, Dad." He slammed this knife into the hull, and he twisted it, and it come out. How you get that? Kitchen cabinet. And so that let me know these guys are really enjoyed it and paying attention. So having said that, I really want to have a special gift for Cappy and Kathy Joseph for actually doing what y'all do, man, for understanding who we are and what we stand for. This is for Cappy Peck and both of you. It says the same thing. It's okay to eat healthy. And thank you all for y'all's recognition. So take this to her. With her. And the same thing for Kathy Webb. It's okay to eat healthy. Yeah, and so I really appreciate. So I really appreciate that. And now I want to have one of my young men who to come up and actually speak about their experience in the program. Evan McAway.
Right after these guys are done speaking, if Webb and Peck want to come down, we have a little presentation as well.
Hello. The kitchen cabinet was all in all a very important experience to me, being an aspiring chef. Also, I'm not the only one in the program who wants to be a chef, but it taught me very good techniques that I'll always use in life, such as the avocado, taking the inside of an avocado out. Also taught me skills and helped me learn the environment of an actual workplace by going to Big Whiskey's and being in an actual prep kitchen and going to Pulaski Tech and being in the actual setting of how a restaurant would be. I also learned how to cook a lot of things and learned that really how to make the taste good without being so elaborate with the things, like with the seasonings and all. All in all, it was a very good experience, and I'll always use it in life.
What was your favorite dish that you cooked?
We made some quesadillas, and they were real good, and some tacos that were real good.
Evan's mother's also a city employee. Did y'all know that? Stand up, Miss Gardner. Yeah, that's his mom. She worked. I have another special presentation for you. Yeah, you. No, you. Yeah. You a Greenleaf?
Yes.
Yeah, I have something for you too. It's okay to have that.
Thank you so much.
We've tried to find a way to show these different groups our appreciation. We have a box of plaques for the other groups too. So I really want to appreciate them for that. And so all in all, this program is very vital and viable for a program that's engaging these boys and actually cooking. And a lot of these guys come from single parent homes. Some of them have two parents, but most of single parent households, but their mother's working all the time. So it's important for those guys to learn how to cook themselves and prepare special meals for their mothers, on special days, or just because. So we appreciate you all for doing this for us. Thank you all for engaging me. Oh, sorry, I messed up. Okay, boys, stand. Ooh, I messed that up. A lot of what you all see, this unity and togetherness is what happens each and every Saturday during the school year, because we're cultivating their mindsets. We teach it from a curriculum that's germane to them, dealing with anger management, self-control, critical thinking skills, the importance of relationships, the importance of education, interacting with the police. It's important, and these guys got to understand they have a role to play in everything that's going on in this city right now, that they have a role to, in the terms that's going on, is decrease the violence. So these guys understand what that means, because this is a brotherhood, and this is a lovehood. These guys not only love each other, but love themselves, which is most important, so I thank them for that.
Let me recognize Vice Mayor Webb. I think she's got a presentation to make as well. And it looks like Director Peck's going to be handing out some kitchen codes.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board, and Sergeant Davis and members of the Kitchen Cabinet. One of the things that graduates get when they complete the 6-week class is a certificate. And as we heard from the presentation before, you can give a person a fish or you can teach a person to fish. And the skills that they learn in this class are skills that will help them in their careers and at home and with their family. So as I call out the names, if I could get everybody to come up and get a certificate. Evan McElway. Joshua Davis.
I'm recruiting staff as we.
Corey Jones.
Here you go.
Savion Lambert. Savion.
Your son.
Derek Woodus. Joseph Milton.
You left something out. Good looking, Milton.
Kenneth Milton.
We're proud.
Xavier Austin. Reginald Austin. Imani Booth. Cameron Riley. Christian Riley. Cedric Hill. Nick Smith. O'Shea Furlow.
I knew that was coming.
It's clean. I showered today. Here you go. It's okay. Oh. Are you really gonna give it to me? I'm really giving it to you.
Anthony Morris. We'll have to send you yours. We'll send you a shirt. Thank you.
Well, congratulations to all our aspiring chefs. I'm sure there's going to be a diamond chef out there sooner or later. That's a great thing that you've learned, and I know that it's a skill set that I want to thank our OK program and our police officers and our mentors that work on this every Saturday. It's really a great program. It's very, very important, and I know we're reaching 193 in the young men's class and 30 plus in the women's class. So and thank you to the parents that are here as well. You provide that extra help, and that's so very, very important. So good luck to all of you, and I can't wait to try some of your food. How many classes did they do? That's the kind of thing they need. You gonna get him another jacket? Okay, we can now move on to our agenda. You have a document, however, that I want to just point your attention to. Today we had a wonderful press conference that Arkansas Children's Hospital did to announce the Southwest Little Rock Community Clinic for the Children's Hospital. Over on Daly Drive, part of our Southwest Little Rock complex, adjacent to the county clinic and also our Southwest Community Center and police substation there. It's really a beautiful, beautiful facility, $4 million project, and the city provided the land to them on a $1 a year lease for 99 years. Really helped out, and it's really going to help that area of our community. They can also even do some work in conjunction with the county health clinic too for some adults. So just want to let you know that's what this information is, and if you get a chance to go by it, it is really, really cool. They've got bilingual staff. They're doing WIC payments, and so they're bringing in related issues that deal with the overall health of our community. Okay, let's look at the agenda. We're going to withdraw. There's a request to withdraw at the applicant's request, item 10. So if you'll strike that from your agenda. And then let me ask you to look at items 1 through 9 on your agenda and ask if there's any questions or any presentations you like on any of these. Director Wright, yes, please.
Mr. Moore, resolution number 5. I understand the bond issuance. My question concerns the funds. Have these funds already been allocated, or are these for future projects?
This is, I'll ask Sarah to come up and explain the details behind it. This doesn't change any of the projects or any of the funds. This just changes how we're paying for them. So Sarah.
Earlier this year, the board approved refunding these bonds, which there's no new money to come from the refunding. What this does is utilizes a different revenue source to pay the bonds. In the past, these bonds were secured by the parks revenues. Now they would be secured by franchise fee revenues.
Oh, okay.
There are two advantages to that. There's no change in the demand on the general fund. The level of the debt service should stay the same in the current year. Or possibly be reduced slightly. But the objective is to reduce the amortization schedule on the bonds to make the payout quicker. And the reason that would be possible would be that we would be able to obtain a rating on the bonds using the franchise fees. We were not able to rate the bonds previously using parks revenues. It also makes our compliance reporting easier. There's a lot of additional compliance disclosures we have to do on each of the park's activities and how much each one charges for each thing and the revenue and expenses associated with each of the park activities. And that requirement will go away when we move to just the franchise fees. So there's just some advantages from a financial perspective, hopefully reducing. Right now, we don't pay these off till like 2039, and we're trying to bring that back a little bit.
Okay, so that, I understand totally, having been engaged with how Parks does things, I can see that that would make your life a lot easier on dealing with
If you think of it kind of like refinancing your mortgage, you know, we're taking this maybe hopefully from a 30-year mortgage down to maybe a 20-year mortgage or a 25-year mortgage. So that's the
Okay.
objective.
Will that increase our payment?
No, it will not, again, because of the fact that we should be able to get a rating on the bonds, which will lower the interest rate.
So what's the current interest rate, Sarah?
It varies depending on the date of each of the
Maturity,
bonds.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
and of course,
average?
we won't know, well, I don't have that right in front of me right now, but we won't know what the overall savings will be or what the potential is until the underwriters are able to take it out and price it and until we obtain a rating from the rating agency. So again, you all authorized the refunding of these bonds back in February. What this particular resolution does is allow us now to retain the underwriters to go out and sell the bonds for us.
All right, thank you.
Have you estimated the cost of reissuance?
The underwriters will do that for us.
You'll let us know? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Director Hendricks, you're recognized, please.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, on resolution number 6, can you explain that? And is that a public activity, the car sale? And the reason I'm asking, if it is, then the public needs to know more than us.
Director Hendricks, as you know, out at the zoo, we have a carousel over the jumps, and this just allows us to, using grant funds that we received, to continue the rehab of the carousel.
Is that at the zoo?
It is.
Okay. So say that so they'll know.
Okay.
That's the public. I want them to know because a lot of people don't know these things are available for the public. Thank you.
Okay.
Director Wright?
Mr. Moore, resolution number 9, I'd like a presentation on that and to know what the scope of the contract will be.
As we have been part of the youth master plan, the city, the staff looked at different avenues that we needed to continue to focus on. One was a very strong, viable intervention service. So we put out an RFQ. We reviewed those. We also then had presentations by the respondents. And this time I'll ask Ms. Doucette to come forward and go over the parameters of the program. Dana?
Thank you. Thank you, Board of Directors, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Bruce. So the project summary, I'll read that for you just so you kind of get a better idea of what it is. It's in an organized effort, and again, I stress organized effort to increase public safety and curb violence. The City of Little Rock Department of Community Programs seeks to contract with qualified organization with proven expertise and evidence of success in developing, providing, and implementing effective youth intervention strategies and techniques for a community-based outreach to Little Rock residents ages 13 through 30. And it's focusing on the following services. It's outreach to and recruitment of disconnected youth and young adults who might be hanging out in the community. It's also comprehensive case management involving assessing their immediate needs, referring them to youth development, career, and life skill services and opportunities, then following up with those participants to enhance positive outcomes, and then documenting, reporting, and evaluating results, and then modifying the strategy as needed. And so we're really looking at a comprehensive strategy to make a difference from a street perspective.
So this would be what you would call a street team?
It is a street team. That's the easy way to put it. It is boots on the street, going where the people are. And
Okay.
again, it's from 13 to 30. So we definitely wanted to get a wide range of the disconnected youth and then make sure that they're taken care of with wraparound services.
And is your belief that Centers for Youth and Family has that particular expertise?
As Bruce mentioned, we didn't just go from our regular RFQ. We also invited the respondents in for presentations as well. And then even after that, we went back and talked with them deeply to make sure that they really understood what we were asking them to accomplish. One of the things that made us feel a little bit more comfortable with Centers for Youth and Family, I'll say actually three things, is number one, they actually are already on the streets in lots of ways. One is that they serve the homeless community, so they're already under bridges and in places where it might be a little bit scary, if you will, or it takes a certain person to kind of deal with those populations. They definitely understand that. They also already deal with the foster care population. So they're already dealing with a lot of the students who happen to be on the streets for different reasons. They're used to going to court. They're used to going into domestic violence situations. They're used to going into homes, both the biological homes as well as foster parent homes. They have a keen understanding of that process. And so while they haven't done this particular one, this particular type of work, it's really their passion. They want to do it. This is one area that they've recognized that they don't have at this point, and they want to make a difference in this area. That was important to us because they're really trying to uncover all of the different stones and look under all the different rocks so that they can be as effective as possible. That made us feel comfortable with wanting to make a difference in this area. And then they're willing and open-minded to some of the direction that we'd be able to provide. As you might remember, we don't just throw a contract out there and hope that they fly. We're also right there with them. We consult with them. They understand that. We try to provide additional training where it's necessary, if they need some additional training or direction or consultation. So we're not just hoping that they figure it out. We plan to be right there with them and work on it together.
So if I'm having an issue in my neighborhood where I have youth that are hanging out, they would be able to go to that area and talk to those youth?
Yes, so what they'll be doing is a great portion of these resources will be going directly towards the people that will be actually on the street. That was also comforting to us because they don't need to use the funds for rent or for overhead or things of that sort. They will be going directly to put boots on the ground, the right types of people on the ground to really make a difference in the community. So we've asked them to make sure that whoever works with this contract as boots on the ground, that they're from the street, they have credibility, they really understand where they're going and what their charge is. And we feel comfortable that, first of all, that they understand what we're asking them to do, and then we also feel comfortable because of their history of what they've already been doing, that they can actually carry it out.
Okay. And when would this contract begin?
we have to go through regular contracting. So we're expecting that it would be no later than August 15th, September 1st. We would definitely want to make sure that they're there before and as school starts.
All right. Thank you, Dana.
Director Richardson?
Thank you, Mayor. Dana, somebody's ability to go out and engage someone is a hell of a lot different, a lot different than them being able to engage someone and refer them to ongoing services. Because part of the problem is they've been disconnected. So to go out there and talk to them for an hour or two, that's not going to necessarily address the problem, correct?
Correct.
So the other part that Dana and Bruce, I'm really having concern with is not necessarily the ability for somebody to have the passion or the desire to do that, whether they're going to have the capacity in terms of who they hire and who they bring on. And that's a lot different population than somebody who's engaged in foster care or homeless folks. I mean, so
Director Richardson, we agree. We've had extensive dialogue and conversations with centers about, and as Dana mentioned, because as an organization, because of the organizational capacity overall, they're going to be able to focus these dollars exactly on bringing those boots on the streets into the areas that we need them. So we've had that dialogue, and we feel confident that they understand the need, what we're looking for. And you're right, the things that Dana mentioned isn't what we're looking for, but we feel like their proposal that they presented was something that they get what we are asking for. And again, we'll have ongoing monitoring and regular dialogue. This is one of the most important pieces we can do right now. I think, especially with what's going on in our city and in some of our targeted neighborhoods. So we spent a lot of time reviewing this, talking to the centers, and so we feel confident that they will have the capacity to address the contractual terms that we'll have.
well, I mean, given especially what happened last night, this is probably one of the most important, one of the most disturbing times in our community. And I think someone's ability to train, monitor, and administer this type of service is really important. And just somebody's ability to hire the right person is really important, because we need to have somebody who's part of the community, who knows the community, and the community knows them. There was a simple philosophy that a lot of people use, Mayor, to get the right kind of people back in the day. They would say, give me the person with the right attitude, let me train them, as opposed to the person with the right training and work on their attitude. I mean, I don't know how you can train somebody's familiarity with a community and the community's familiarity with them to the extent that they can be successful and impactful. And I think that it's really critical and important that whoever gets this, I'm not disparaging centers, but whoever gets this has the ability to administer, train, and engage those kind of workers to be out there and have an effect, to have the kind of positive effect that we need. And we don't want to set anybody else up for planned failure. I don't think we need to have any kind of focus on the hit and miss kind of thing where they go out and talk to them for 2 days and then go out and leave them. That's not going to address the issues, and they don't have any kind of referral sources or supportive service they can connect them to. Just send them up for planned failure. And I think it's going to be really disturbing considering what's happened last night and what's been happening really, like recently, that we're not taking a more proactive stance on this. It seems like we're just playing checkers, Mayor, rather than playing chess with this. And I think a lot of stuff we've done before. We've done this before. I think, man, in '93, we had 76 homicides in our city. And the most part, they were youth involved. And I think we need to have right kind of people, Bruce and Dana, out there helping resolve these conflicts long before they graduate to acts of violence. I mean, there's plenty of chance that we can have people doing that, whether it happens at school, what's happening in the community. And I think it's really critical for us as a city right now to gather a handle on this. And, you know, it's not an issue of us just arresting everybody. I mean, we can arrest every 22-year-old in the city, but we got 12-year-olds waiting to grow into 22-year-olds right now. So it's just interrupting. It's not gathering, it's not addressing the needs that need to happen in those communities, not doing it proactively. Because the charge is, I think we unfortunately get a focus on, let's heal the kid, let's heal the kid. No, we have to heal the kid and the family that produced the kid and the community that produced the family. So it's a three-pronged approach, and we can't take the similar or simplistic approach to try to address this. And I think this is really important, Bruce and Dana. We need to look at this very carefully if we want to have the effect that we want to have. And I want to say we're just doing something just to say we're doing it. I mean, to me, that's...
You know, this is, and that's all accurate, Director Richardson. The key is on the people who Center for Youth and Families get to do the work. And we know that. I talked about this last week in our Little Rock for Life program about the street team and making sure we get the right people. So, and that is critically important. We recognize that, and I think Center understands, at least from my conversations with Mr. Moore, that this is an extension of the responsibilities that they are currently going, and they understand that they need to get different people, not the same people they got. They got to get different people. They got to get people that are on the street, that know the neighborhoods, know the people, and that's going to be key to it. And we're going to keep track of the success on that. And if it's not the right people, then we're going to be monitoring it to make sure that they do get the right people. So,
Mayor, that-
we've got to move on this, and I think it's, certainly your help and your assistance and your recommendations on people, I know would be welcome. And so we all got to be in this thing together.
I agree. I think we
So
need to
if you got
move.
recommendations, and I hope you'll come forward with them.
Well, I don't want this, I think we need to move, we need to move deliberately and carefully in order to have the effect we want to have. And somebody's capacity, just to administer some dollars, that's a big difference between somebody's capacity to organize this kind of work, administer this kind of work, train for this kind of work, and have the organization capacity to do this kind of work. Whether or not they even have a history of doing that. And I think one of the things we don't want to make sure we do is let these issues that's happening right now in our community become issues for misery merchants, for people to come in and capitalize on these issues financially or politically, because that's one of the most offensive, insulting things that we have happened sometimes in our community. And I just think that it's a capacity issue, man. I didn't see the RFP. I'm not making any kind of comment on Center's organization capacity. I know to have somebody to make the kind of difference we want to make, it has to be the right person. Otherwise, we send ourselves a planned failure, without a doubt. And I don't want to do something just to say we're doing something.
The right people is very important, absolutely critical. So, thank you, Dana. I appreciate the presentation. You have more, Director Adcock is next.
The 13 to 30, are the 13 to 30 the ones we're serving, are they the boots on the street?
The ones that we're serving, yes.
Okay, if we have a parent out there that needs some help with their child, can they call so they can get in with this program?
Yes, and so
can you
that's.
please give us a number? Or is it not yet?
Okay, first of all, we don't have the contract authorization until next Tuesday, and then we got to negotiate the contract. So and we're all pressing. I mean, we got this before y'all as soon as I could. And when we talk about doing things differently, one way to look at it, we've never contracted with centers, so this is a different approach. And I think that's something we got to keep in mind. I mean, I was surprised when I saw their response. But let us get the application or the negotiations done, and then we'll get that.
These parents are looking for hope.
We're moving. We've moved this very quickly. We have.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana.
Director Hendricks,
No, mine has to do with planning and
a different item?
planning and development.
Okay, let me ask Director Wright, do you wish to speak on this item? Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to follow up with Dana on the referral to services. Once they engage, once they determine, and heard you mention case management, so that component is addressed. What referral services, are there programs that the city is funding that these youth would be referred to, or?
It will include a whole family, because one other thing that we were encouraged by is that Centers for Youth and Families does just that. They serve not just the youth, but the families as well. And so whatever it is that student needs is what they'll be providing.
Okay. So, as you said earlier, I believe this is a continuation of the implementation of our Youth Master Plan.
It is.
Which involved us doing an inventory of available services throughout the city that's not only provided by the city but other organizations, so that we were not duplicating efforts and we'll be better putting our funds where they can do the most good, and let people with particular expertise do what they have an expertise to do, and then would be using them as a referral source. So all of this would be engaged together under your Youth Master Plan.
Correct, and we've been working on that tirelessly this year, and we're in the process of kind of starting to upload that information to the website so everyone will be able to access it as well.
Well, I'm encouraged that we get this, that we got this and that we are working speedily to get it in place and operational. That's why I asked when it would possibly start. So September would be good, and I appreciate your efforts, and I look forward to seeing this work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Hines, did you wish to speak on this issue?
Dana, thanks. And I just want to clarify, so this was the program that we initially put out for, is this the same one we put out for RFQ and then put it out again because we didn't get response?
We didn't put this particular one out again.
Okay,
This-
I'm getting
right.
confused with our other one then.
If you
Okay,
have so
I
many,
just
yeah.
want to make sure. We've had a lot going on, and I can tell you that staff, from a standpoint of being thorough with these reviews, I think that was our street intervention, I think, was the one that we've gone back because we had 3 organizations come in, none of which could do everything we wanted.
Right.
The 3 together could, and I think we were trying to look for some cooperation between those groups to get the product that we wanted. So this also goes through a review process with Children, Youth, and Families, and so we feel confident. I just want to make sure I was getting confused on which one this was, because I know we've had, and we're trying to get them done as quickly as possible, but we have decided to make sure that what we're putting out is quality and it's going to work. We're not just going to do it, Director Richardson, to say that we've got something going. We've been very deliberate and very painstakingly going through these. Thank you.
Director Richardson, did you wish to comment?
Yeah, real briefly, Mayor. I mean, to that end, it may be, and whether or not we have the capacity to do this, may be more effective or more beneficial for us to once we identify these people, contract out with them as independent consultants as one of the ways to make sure we get the right people. Secondly, with respect to that referral process, is there a mechanism in place to engage ex-felons in the referral plus process? Because a lot of folks that we're dealing with out there in this community doing some of this thing, they're ex-felons. And given the fact that we have a huge backload with respect to our reentry program, is there another mechanism we have in place that once we engage folks and refer folks, that takes into consideration ex-felons?
If I may take an answer to that. First of all, this is part of what we talked about last week in terms of engaging disconnected youth and adults, young adults, and to try to intervene in disputes before they turn violent. Most importantly, in doing that, it's to provide the wraparound services that I think Center for Youth and Families and the case management that they can give us would apply to certain numbers of these young people. Now, to the extent that they're felons, we have a whole inventory of people who are providing felony reentry services. We know that we have our house is doing felony reentry. We know that Goodwill is doing felony reentry, and we refer people we refer people to them. Our Workforce Development Board refers them also, and then we also received a grant for $1.24 million, which we need to do a press conference on because all these things happen and people don't realize they're happening, and that's going to help to train 125 people who are out here that are prior felons in terms of the skill sets that they need to be able to get a gainful employment and a job and not reoffend. So it's my intention, and I think it's the intention of our staff, to make sure that if that's the kind of situation we find somebody in through our street team, that we make sure that we get that wraparound service and get them referred over for that felony reentry type program.
That sounds great, Mayor, and I'm certainly not in disagreement with the need for these services. I'm certainly not in disagreement with respect to us having these resources. I just think sometimes we have to have the right people on board, the right people in place to make this work. I mean, I understand the need for us doing this. I mean, it strikes home to me every week, and hits home to me particularly hard last night. And I understand the need to do this, but then we need to have the right people doing it. We need to have the right capacity doing it, and this is something we do not need to politicize at all. This is something we need to take care of effectively and efficiently in order to have the best impact. This is not a negative on you or Bruce. I'm just putting this out as a caution to make sure. If we want to have the impact that we want to have, we need to do it correctly and deliberately. And Mayor, I agree wholeheartedly. It's something that needs to be done, and whether we get $2 million, $5 million, we need to make sure we spend it wisely and effectively. And that's all I have to say on that, Mayor.
Agreed. Okay, Director Hendricks.
No, not Dana.
There you go.
Planning and development.
All right. Thank you, Dana.
She's doing a good job. I ain't got nothing to say about it.
Which item would you like, Director Hendricks?
11.
Item 11. 11, 12, and 18 are all connected.
On 11, I wanted to have planning, someone to come and tell me what has happened with College Station, Sweet Home, and the Granite Mountain.
Sure. This was,
Staff, Mr. Moore.
Director Hendricks,
Can you do it?
I'm about to call our staff, but I wanted
Okay.
to, this was deferred for, I believe, 6 weeks.
I know.
And the meeting was held, staff held a meeting, and also 3M held a meeting with the Granite Mountain Neighborhood Association, and we did receive a letter from them. But Mr. Collins, if you want to come up and give an overview of the project.
Bruce, has there been another meeting other than the last one that we had with the Granite Mountain people? You mentioned a meeting. What meeting were you speaking about?
There was a meeting that the 3M organization and Granite Mountain had, and we received a letter from,
What date was that?
I don't know, but we received a letter from the president of the organization saying they were supportive of the proposal.
Okay, go ahead.
Director Hendricks, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the board, Bruce is correct. They did have a meeting. The applicant had a meeting with the Granite Mountain on June 23rd, two of them, on June 23rd with the board of the Granite Mountain Neighborhood Association, and then the 26th for the entire Neighborhood Association to present in detail their plan for the property and to address any concerns. And they have been also meeting with them on a ongoing basis after that to come up with a plan of action for the property, for some cleanup operations, some mowing of some vacant lots that they own, and some fencing that was to be installed along the property to address those concerns through there.
Okay, can you share with me the meeting that we had in College Station? Has that been resolved? Are the groups working together? Is that what you're telling me, Granite Mountain and College Station?
Director Hendricks, I do not know if the two groups are actually working together combined, but they have been working separately with 3M to address those concerns.
And they are satisfied?
Yes.
Okay.
That is what we have on our communication. They're satisfied and happy in approval of the application.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, are there any other questions on any of the other items? I'm looking at 13 through 17. Any questions on those? Director Wright.
Mr. Moore, what is considered less than lethal electronic control devices? Are those ankle bracelets?
No, these are tasers.
Tasers, okay, thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions on the agenda, then we can receive the report from our Open Data Governance Committee.
Mayor?
Director Hendricks
Yeah,
maybe
I
has
have
something
one.
else.
It had to do with one of the areas on 611 Main Street. Is that area one, Ward 1?
It is.
What, nobody put it there. So tell your staff to be careful, okay? That's it.
What is this?
Okay. Mayor, members of the board, as you remember, last year, you all passed a resolution setting up the Open Data Governance Committee. It also required us to give an annual report. I'm very excited about the work we've done in the past year. This has really helped us develop an opportunity to share information with the public in an easy-to-understand format. We've received a lot of positive feedback by community on the data available, and we're going to continue to develop and release more data and work with residents in the media on how to access it. So this time I would like our Performance and Innovation Coordinator, Melissa Bridges, to come forward with the annual report. Melissa.
Thank you. Mayor, Vice Mayor, board members, thank you so much for this opportunity to come before you. And like Mr. Moore said, you charged us through the passage of our open data policy a year ago to come and give you an annual report on what the heck have we been doing. Scott, if you can go to the next slide, please. So what we did through this process, if you'll remember, I've been before you a couple different times. We engaged with Bloomberg Philanthropies and became part of the initiative of What Works Cities, working around open data and working around performance measures, working around how are we contracting, where are we spending our money. So to a lot of the points that just came up in Dana's presentation, that's a lot of what we're trying to get through this process that we're doing now. How are we using that data? Are we doing it effectively? Are we counting the things we're supposed to be counting? Are we getting that information out to our citizens so that they can understand what's going on? And I'm proud to say that a year ago, Little Rock was announced as one of the first 25 cities of the What Works Cities initiative. That initiative is now up to 85 cities, and it expands all the way from Anchorage, Alaska to Providence, Rhode Island, and more recently, Memphis, Tennessee, and Arlington, Texas were announced as cities. And as Bruce said, as part of that, we announced our open data portal and started pushing information out to our citizens for that. Next slide, please, Scott. This is your group, part of your group that's working on this. As I said, you all passed our open data policy in May of 2016. Through that, we have been continuing all of our efforts. We did a complete data inventory of where's the city's information, what system is it housed in, what format is it in, is it easily available, is it something that's going to need a lot of staff time on it, and what are those things that we can easily get out and give our citizens access to. In addition to that, part of what we've done over this process, I'm going to introduce or have our committee stand up so you can see everybody that's been doing this. We've also had a blog post that was written by Bill Mann, our deputy city attorney, deputy chief city attorney, I think. Sorry, Bill. That What Works Cities posted out on their website that went national. They were really excited to know that we were engaged with our city attorney and that they were actually helping us figure out what are the right things to put out there. One of the important things that the committee looked at when we were looking at our police data was we didn't want to put on a map where a victim of a rape was. It was very important that we protected that person's privacy. We didn't want to re-victimize them. And so having Bill on that committee, it helped us think about the things that maybe we wouldn't have necessarily thought of. So his blog post was very well received. We've actually got another one that's going to be coming out this week that they're really excited about from Jim Brooks, our crime analyst supervisor, because they thought it was a unique perspective that Jim used to be a reporter and now is on the other side of it, trying to get the information out to the news media and to our citizens. So I will send that out when we get that. If I could ask the members of the committee to stand, please. As you can see, we've got a cross-section of several different departments, and you'll see in the report that was handed to you a list of everybody that's on there. We realize as we keep moving through this process that we're missing somebody from community programs. Dana and I have had lots and lots of conversations about her youth master plan and the data that she needs to gather to be able to measure, and are we spending those dollars right? Are we putting our money where we should be putting them? And so I will be asking Mr. Moore to add a representative from community programs on there because she needs to be able to gather that data. She needs to be able to use it to measure. So it's important that we have that information available for our community. Thank you, guys. And we're trying to continuously look for what does the citizens need access to. Scott, can you, next one, please. So what you're looking at is this is our open data portal. You can get to it off of the front page of the city's website. In there, like I said, we launched this a year ago. There's lots of information about different topics, and we kind of try and group them into like areas. Next slide, please. So, has anybody looked at this thing? I can go into the, thank you, Vice Mayor. I can go into the back side of the portal and look at the analytics to see what the visitation rate is. And over the last year since it's been up, we've had over 300,000 views on it. That includes other cities that are a part of the What Works Cities. That includes researchers at the University of Arkansas. I had a phone call from one of them today looking at our criminal justice information, trying to figure out if there's a way that they can work with the city, especially with everything that's going on right now. So this is encouraging to know that people are actually visiting this and looking at it. Next slide, please. Some of the information that we put out there, the most visited information that we have is obviously our public safety information from the police department, our 311 information, and our building permits. So those are some of the ones that we've put on the front page of our portal to be able to have as featured sets so people can readily access them. Like I said, we're still looking for other data sets to put out there. The fire department just recently got a new record management system. So as they get their data into that system and start getting more information, that'll be another set that we start start looking at to get out there. I know I've had a request for our business licenses and make sure that that information is out there. Again, we've got to work with the departments to make sure that the information's in good enough shape that we put out accurate information. Next one, please. So this is just an example of some of the easy-to-use visualizations, some of the charts that make the data make sense to people. And what you're looking at, this is the 2017 building permits, and they are split by city ward. So you can see the renovations, the buildings, the additions, the move-ins, and then you can see by the color codes on there where they're at. If you're actually on the site itself, you can hover your mouse over any of those colors and it actually tell you what the number of permits that have been pulled in each of those categories are. There's 2 or 3 different visualizations that we've got that go on each of the data sets, and we're trying to think through what are the things that people are asking about. It's usually, well, what's going on in my neighborhood? What's happening over here? So that's what we're trying to focus on. Next one, please, Scott. This site, I am incredibly excited. We're going to actually be announcing this tomorrow. We'll have a press release go out. This is our new Citizen Connect website. So it may not look like much looking on the screen, but to kind of explain what you're looking at. We've got each of our fire stations, police stations, and neighborhood resource centers mapped on there. That's your blue buildings, your red buildings, and your green houses. We also have 311 requests, and we have crime data on there. So I, as a citizen of Little Rock, if I want to see what's going on around my house, I can actually type my address or any address in the city in that bar at the top, and it will zoom onto the map and show me. You can also click by ward and see the information for your individual ward. I can also go in and that blue button at the top that says create alert, if I want it to have it send me an email anytime there's something around my house that I want to know about, I can actually create an alert on this website and then tell it, please send me either on a daily or a weekly or a monthly basis, anytime there's a code violation, anytime there's a breaking and entering, anytime there's a homicide, and I can tell it when and where I want that information sent to me. So this is going to be a powerful tool that we're going to be able to give to our residents so that they can proactively start getting information in their hands. Last slide, please, Scott. This is another thing that's really exciting. So since we're part of this group of 85 cities and work cities, they have come up with a national standard by which to measure all the cities on. How are you using your information? What are you doing with it? And each of the cities had to go through a certification process. Mr. Moore and I have a phone call with them tomorrow to go over our information with them. What they had decided or what they kind of thought working with all the different cities that are doing this, even the cities that have been doing this a lot longer than Little Rock, they don't figure anyone is going to hit that platinum mark. If we get silver or we get gold, we're doing really great. So we will soon have the results of that. Shooting for silver, they'll give us ways to improve to get to gold, and then we'll keep working towards platinum. But this is another exciting way that Little Rock's getting recognized for doing the right thing by using our information to make our decisions and to get it out into the hands of our citizens. With that, are there any questions?
Questions, anyone? So, Melissa, as you begin the planning for the future, tell me how many additional portals do you think you'll be opening? Or
the only
is this going to be
additional
driven by not only citizen input, but also input from our various departments on things they feel would be important for people to access?
So the only other portal / website, however you want to say it, that we'll be adding to our portfolio that we have now is one for performance measures. So the vendor that we have in place is Socrata, and they are the ones that house our open data and our Citizen Connect site. And we're in the process of getting a project manager set up with them and a schedule set to start doing performance measures around whether it's in the LR for Life, whether it's around the things that are in the budget book each year, those key things that the city looks at, what consists of a quality of life in the city of Little Rock and how do we measure that. So that'll be the next portal that we do. As far as getting data sets out there, yes, everything on the open data portal has a feedback mechanism at it. Citizens, anyone who's looking at this can email data@littlerock.gov. That email will come to me. We're continuously asking, as I go do presentations in the public, what other information do you want? What other information would be helpful? I know we've been working with the members of the committee, and we've got several other data sets that are in the pipeline. And part of what the committee is charged with is we meet monthly and look at that data and say, does this make sense? Would someone understand if we actually put out this information? Because when we put it out, we've got to be able to give it a context. We've got to be able to tell the story that goes with it. And to Director Richardson's point, not just put something out to put something out. It has to have meaning to it. So that's a big part of what the committee is charged with doing, is looking at it and finding out what that meaning is that goes with it.
Very good. Director Hendricks, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I want to ask.
You pull the microphone to you, please.
No, after mine. I want to ask you, some of the residents always complain. So what happens with those persons that may not call? I guess you can't even deal with that. So how do you couple that with this report? Because I get so many calls from people and I said, well, why don't you call the city? Don't call me. Is that what the residents is supposed to do? Call you with a complaint or?
No, ma'am. I'm not the taker of complaints.
Okay.
I'm the giver of information.
Program, does it have any effect on the community calling in complaints?
Yes, and I'll say it this way. So as part of this process, Victor Turner, our housing director, is here, and he has started a round of meetings in the community called CodeStat. And what he does is he takes 311 manager, his code enforcement officers, and myself, and we're going to each of the different wards and having communication with the citizens and letting them know, here are the mechanisms by which you can get information to the city. If you've got a request that needs to be done that's not a police request, please use the 311 system. Please follow up through that so that you can get your information in, so that they don't have to call you, because they've got other mechanisms with which to get that information
But
to
even
the
if
city.
they call me, a lot of them don't call the city at all. Sometimes I'm almost tempted to give them Mr. Moore's personal telephone number, but I never do that because I love him. The other thing I want to ask you, on your committee, I saw the picture. How often do you all meet, when and where?
We meet once a month. We meet here at City Hall, and it's usually the first Wednesday of every month.
Okay, because there's so much going on. And Mr. Moore, I wish you had handed this to us. You know, before these people start talking, trying to read this and listen to that, I have to get on him about that, holding things until, I'll read it when I get home.
Okay.
Okay.
Director Wright, you're recognized, please.
Well, Mr. Moore, Mayor, my question is, my comments are on another matter.
Oh, okay, if you'll just hold for a second. Yeah. Thank you, Director Wright. Vice Mayor Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to publicly thank the members of the committee, and especially Victor and Melissa, because the information that you presented to some of the Ward 3 folks was not only very helpful, you presented it in a way that people could understand it. And as you know, I spend a lot of time looking at what other cities are doing in this area, and I think we really are doing great work in this area, and the citizens that I've talked to are very appreciative and excited about learning more. And so also thank you all for coming at night to talk to folks about it.
I might mention, certainly, we're excited that we were selected by Bloomberg to be a What Works city. We've been a cities of service as well. We're one of the cities that have been accepted for the Mayor's Challenge on coming up with challenges and ideas that we need to solve, and coming up with some ideas, and they're going to be coming in to give us some training and help us focus on what that particular issue might be. There's a big reward at the end of the rainbow, $5 million for the city that comes up with the most interesting and most challenging issue to solve. There's four $1 million rewards for the runners-up. That's a pretty big runner-up, by the way. And then there's several $100,000 winners. So I put this out to our department heads and to our employees to come up with these issues that we have that we want to solve and figure out some creative ways to solve these issues. We've got a few that I've already had and I've received. I've thought of a couple myself, and between Melissa and other people on staff, we're going to try and have a good list of questions and challenges that we can sift through when the Bloomberg staff come and visit with us next month. So,
Mayor,
yes.
before you leave this, I just want to congratulate you and Bruce and all for picking Alyssa, because dealing with arcane parts of Arkansas law and a desire to have a visionary concept that's focused out of the East was virtually impossible. And she managed to keep the conversation going so that everything got worked out. And I don't think we ever really praise her enough for that. But if she wasn't here, I'm not convinced we would still be in this program.
Well, thank you, Melissa. And obviously for putting it in language that all of us can understand.
Yes.
That's a big part of my job.
Very important. You bet.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now me?
Director Wright, yes, please.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, for the sake of clarity for myself and for the listening and viewing public, would you please update us on our 911 and 311 positions? In particular, you had told me that we had about 20 vacancies in 911, but you also said something about some changes you had made in the salary and adding some steps and so forth. So would you just go through
Sure.
what you have done, where we are?
Sure.
Thank you.
And let's separate, because you said 911 and 311.
Yeah, I want some
separate.
clarity.
Okay, 311, as you know, we moved out of 911. They're actually in my office. They're housed at our training academy. They're fully staffed.
Wait. So it's not under housing?
Correct. 311 is that we moved. It was never under housing. It was actually under the police department.
Well, I thought I heard someone say that Mr. Turner had his 311 staff.
What he did was he had a dedicated 311 staff person, and he still has that person.
Okay,
We didn't.
that's where I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we did was we took the existing 311 operators, and that were in public, in the police department and in public works, brought all of them under my office. But housing gets enough of their own that we allowed Victor to keep that staff person.
So he does have, so if someone calls 311 and they have a housing complaint,
No, they're going to the number rings out at the training academy. That's where the phone is being answered. But he has a staff person that sort of tracks 311 requests in his department. Okay.
so could that be some of the breakdown that people are saying that they can't get their issue, 311 doesn't respond?
No, I think since when you look at Little Rock Connect, you can see the number of requests we get, the number of responses. I think we've made tremendous strides. We got a great manager out there, and so I think we've made tremendous strides. Now, what happens, especially in housing and code enforcement complaints, is once they go into the 311 system. And depending on what it is, let's say it's a premise violation. Well, you've got 7 days to fix the violation, and then if they don't fix it, we go back and issue a citation. Well, that's still showing open in 311, but it could be an environmental court at that point. So that's the challenge. We've worked hard to close those, and we note those now in our system if they're in environmental court, and what's the status of those. So I think. So 311 and 911 are separate. To get to the vacancy issue, I believe you had been getting calls about people who had wanted to apply for 911 and told we weren't accepting applications. Because of the changes we made in the step and grade process that I made you all aware of, we've been very fortunate to receive some applicants from other cities that want to come to Little Rock, and so we're going to be able to start a class next week or so with 10 of those. That'd be a shortened class for those staff, and then we also have, based on the number of vacancies, I think we have over 45 applicants for the next class. So we wanted to cut it off so we don't raise expectations. But they feel like, the 911 supervisors feel like we have enough in the hopper at this point to go through the background. And again, it's when you're hiring in 911, it's different if when you're hiring in parks. They don't go through as extensive as a police officer, but a very extensive background. I mean, there's certain things if you've done in your past, you're just not going to be eligible to be a 911 operator because you have access to all kind of information. So as I said to you over the weekend, we stopped taking applications because we feel like we have enough to fill the current vacancies.
And there are how many current vacancies? I think you said
there
20.
were 20, correct.
Okay. But so this wasn't opened up to people in Little Rock?
Oh, I mean, our application process is open to everyone. I mean, I hadn't looked at where they're from, but I mean, well, the certified ones obviously are from other cities, but I assume those in the other pool for the November or December class are from Little Rock also.
Okay. But you think we'll have all of our 911 filled by the first of the year?
I think they'll be filled and in class. It just depends on how quickly we can get the background checks and everything complete, but definitely by the first quarter of next year.
Okay. And I think that was the last thing. So the vacancies we do have, but you're not taking applications due to the number of applications that you already have and your recruitment efforts to out of state, I guess, people to come in.
Really, other cities.
Other cities.
Yeah.
Okay. I still need some more clarity on this 311 because I'm getting a lot of complaints from people that they call 311. Let me finish. And I'm seeing all these piles of stuff, and people are telling me that they've called this stuff in. So that's probably going to be, I don't know. Some of it can be a code violation. So if there's a disconnect or there's a delay in code staff getting these complaints or something in the system, maybe that's what's happening here.
And, one of the things we have finally been able to do, and I think we're still testing, I guess, where each code officer has a laptop that they have that they can access. I don't know if they're able to print the tickets yet or not, but we're buying printers for each of the vehicles, and that's going to be a significant help. But the other thing I plan on doing soon is having, as I mentioned, we got a great manager for 311, and he and Melissa work very closely on data.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm going to have him come forward in an agenda meeting and kind of just go over the number of requests, the response time, as far as when those requests are completed. And I think it's good information for you all to have, and we're going to get that scheduled.
Okay. One last thing, I think. I met with the Clover Hill Pembroke neighborhood, and that neighborhood was just simply littered. Every corner seemed to have piles and stuff on it. Do we have any plans for addressing this? Because it doesn't seem like our crews can keep up.
Obviously, as I noted before, we sometimes get behind on yard waste. Some of it's just if a truck goes down. But the other thing we're attempting to do is just make sure the crews are picking up everything they see that they have the ability to pick up.
Yeah.
Because that means sometimes, but what that does mean is that they might not complete their route that day. If they're picking up everything, even things that they normally wouldn't pick up, and so we've tried to change that focus about 2 weeks ago because we were behind. So we're testing it to see if it makes a difference, and we haven't been doing it long enough yet for me to make that determination.
And I had heard something about a private contractor coming in to help us get caught up. Is there any validity to that?
We did. I can't remember. I don't know if John's still here. John, you want to talk about that?
Yes, because some of the neighborhoods had asked me about that, and I'm seeing so much stuff like at the corner of Barrow and Raymond Savage Drive. It's just a whole mound of limbs and things that have been, and brush that's been cut. This stuff has been there so long it's turned brown.
Director Wright, in regards to a private contractor, we did have discussions with several tree companies within the city, asking them of their availability to assist in the times when we get behind. We did end up having an agreement with one of those companies to have them go out and assist us. We'd give them basically an area, say, please go out and pick up all the, they failed to do any of that. Because they were working it into their schedule when they didn't have their own work. So there's a lot of stuff, and they're working constantly. We're trying to do everything we can to get help, but.
Well, John, let me say this: they're some of the problem. They're the ones who's getting contracts with people cutting this stuff and setting it on the curb.
I don't disagree with that.
So we're gonna pay them to go pick up stuff they should have picked up in the first place?
Well,
I'm just saying. Okay, that's interesting.
Director Adcock, you're recognized, please.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes, ma'am.
I talked to you this weekend. I got to looking for the city board policy book manual, and I found one from 1989. I found one from 1992 that Robbie Hancock had prepared for us. But then when I looked for anything since 1992, I found Larry Lickey's from 2001, and then I found a copy of Changing the Board Budget Policy from 2001 or 2011. But I find no current book on ethics, no current book on policies, no current book on travel, and sitting up here listening to Melissa taking us into the next age, I think this board is in the dark age. So I brought you tonight the book from 1989 and the book from 1992, and I think the book from 2011. So would you please look at those and tell me what policies this board have in regards to travel, ethics, and policies? And if you will, then bring us up to date, and let's look at a new policy board for this board.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Director Hendricks.
Thank you. My conversation has to do with what Director Wright has talked about. Mr. Moore, do we pay for trash pickup on our water bill or somewhere?
We do.
The reason why I asked them, why are we having to tolerate all this trash and stuff all on these curbs every day? I sat and watched a truck pass my window Friday 3 times, and he left everything that was there when he passed it still there. Now, if you think I'm kidding, go on West 26th Street between Izzard and Chester, go on Ringo, but in the 2500 block, and just go all down in that area. It's ridiculous. Somebody's going to need to stop paying these water bills or whatever it is where we're paying for this stuff to be picked up. I wanted to ask you, I read in the paper where over in the police, diversion, the police are asking for $10,000 this. Could we increase the salary on these men? Maybe you can keep them. You know, being an old resident of this Little Rock, a lot of people talk to Irma Hendricks, okay? And I think that the salaries need to be increased. These people are not making enough money to be hauling what you see on some of these curves. I know I wouldn't pick it up for the price that these people are making now. So, Mr. Moore, we need to consider increasing the salary on these people. I don't know how you do that, but I don't like excuses. These people are doing the work, and I know you have a big turnover. On the 311 stuff, that area is a vast turnover of employees. I know that for a fact. It's not no hearsay. I know what I'm talking about. And I think that these things need to be taken care of. With somebody, we can come up here with all these other programs paying thousands and thousands of dollars for these people to do nothing. And these folk that are really working, they need to be paid. You don't have to respond. I don't want to hear it. I'm through. I don't want to hear no comments.
Director Wright, you're recognized.
Mr. Moore, with Director Hendricks said sparked a thought in my mind. If we can hire people from other cities to come in and take jobs in our city, why can't we contract some of this pickup that we need with this debris all over our neighborhoods? My constituents are upset, and I can tell you they have every right to be. Some of this stuff been sitting out there 60 to 90 days, and it's ridiculous. So if you can hire these people to come in and do 911 and get firm salaries, why can we not, say, get some surrounding contractors in other areas to come in and pick up and help clean up these neighborhoods?
I think you heard John say we tried that, and
For the local people, local contractors.
well, I mean, we put it out. I don't know how far our reach was, but we'll look at that.
Please.
Okay. If that concludes all the comments from board members, one final mention, the program Little Rock for Life is going to be at all our neighborhood resource centers tomorrow. So please encourage your citizens in the respective wards to get a copy of it. We're going to be working with Melissa to get all this information in a data portal. I've talked with our folks this afternoon about that and how we can work together to get this information and get the indicators on performance in place so we can continue to monitor each one of these particular programs. It's very comprehensive. There are 6 basic pillars, foundational pillars, and there are several elements, 6 or 7 elements within each one. I know I spoke too long when I spoke a week ago, but you only get one shot with the press to give it all out there, and so now I'm counting on Eric and others to go back and break out each one of these pillars and really give us an in-depth story on each one of them. Thank you, Eric. Okay, if there's nothing else, then we are finished for the day. Thank you.